Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Saturday, National Dry Rice Day, and we are going to be making dry rice 4 different ways. The first way that you just saw was my grandma's dry rice. The second way is my instant pot dry rice. The third way is going to be red oil dry rice, and the fourth way is going to be a healthier alternative. Dry rice is one of the best food on earth. I love it so much because of its versatility. There's so many different ways to make it, and here I am only showing you 4 different ways. I mean, when we make dry rice, every time we make it, there's a new way that we make it. We add a new style, a different protein. You can make it with anything that you like. Different countries. I love exploring the way different countries make it because it's so unique and they do something different. So like always, everything will be in the description below, and let's get to our first dry rice, which is of course grandma dry rice. Now you guys get a special video. These are my grandma's hands. Beautiful hands. She started off by chopping all of her vegetables, the onion, the bell peppers, and added everything in the pot. My grandmother's hands, I was just adoring them. They're just absolutely so beautiful. These hands have so much story. She has about 60 plus years of cooking experience, so I was so happy to be able to get her on camera cooking. What I noticed about my grandma's style of cooking is that she really took her time. I mean, when she was cutting them, she would just take her time. It was almost like painting. That's what it felt like watching my grandma just cut up the onions, cut up the bell peppers. Everything was just done with so much care. When she was done cutting everything up, everything went in the pot. So that's a little different than the way I would do it. And when she added everything in the pot, she added the smoky salty fish and then added about 1/4 cup of oil and brought that, heated up the pot and let that fry. She reduced the fire to medium low and let this saute. Now, this cooked up really quickly because, of course, onion doesn't take that long to cook. When the onion was about al dente and a little bit over that, she added the corned beef. Now, what she told me was like, once you add the corned beef, reduce the fire because you don't want the corned beef to be too mushy. It's going to cook within a few minutes, like 5 minutes is like the absolute maximum. So there's no reason to keep the heat on really high. So once that is done, you just mix it up. It should look something like this. Very simple. I mean, this comes together really easy, this portion. And she was adding a little bit more because it didn't look like it enough. So now the actual dry rice vegetables, she steamed okra. She steamed, this is called Kitiley. If you don't have Kitiley, you can skip it. And pepper, and then she put that into the blender, and then we blended it up, and that was done. It's just very simple. Now for the rest of the dry rice recipe that you're going to see, you can use that across the board. We did use cassava fish. We fried it up, and then it was time to start assembling everything. She added the okra mix into the bottom of the bowl. She added the sardines next, mashed it up. Look at my grandma, she just took her time. She was like a cutie in the kitchen. And then she added the rice. Cook the rice to your preference. We like it a little tougher. And then she added some salt, and then just mixed everything up together. This dry rice, when she made it for us a few years ago, it was just incredible. I have replicated this dry rice so many times, but it does not taste like hers. It's very similar, but there was just something really special. And that's the thing about cooking. When she made it, it was just like a special touch to this dry rice, and it just comes together easily. You can cook this within like 30 minutes. It comes together really easily. You can find the ingredients at any store. If for whatever reason you can't find a particular recipe, you can just skip it. It's still going to be good. You don't have to worry yourself. And this is the end. This is my grandma's dry rice. It's super viral. Most people who have tried it loved it so much. You know, one thing about dry rice is people love finding different ways to make dry rice. And that's the cool thing about dry rice. There's a million ways to cook it. Here's the first one. We'll run out of 4. And we're going to get to our second way of making dry rice. This is red oil dry rice. In Madinga, we will say turuhulenfi, basically saying red oil dry rice. This is one of my favorite types of dry rice. Oh my goodness, I'm craving it looking at it. For the fish, I am going to go in with my cassava fish. Someone mentioned that this was called porgy, but porgy is a little different from cassava. I just cut up lines into the fish to make sure that the seasoning enter in the fish. Now, normally I do this with my toothpaste, but I did not want the mustard to go to waste because there was some in there. So I used about a tablespoon of mustard. I added in all of my dry season with a little bit of oil, and I just mixed it up together. Because I didn't want it like super oily, I air fried it instead of frying it the regular way. But if you do prefer to fry it, that's also okay. One thing about cooking that you should know is that if you see a recipe and you don't have something, you can always skip it. As long as the food tastes good to you, that's all that matters. I know I've said this so many times, but sometimes people do ask. So here I am adding it into my air fryer. I'm going to put that, I air fried this on 350 on the suggested setting. So I think this was about like maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Flip it midway through and then you're all done. Super easy. And for my vegetables, here's my onion, my bell peppers, my regular pepper. And then what I did was I soaked up the dry fish. I can't remember the fish that I was using, but that was the first thing I did. I soaked the dry fish so it can get soft a little bit. And here's what it looked like. This was like maybe about 20 minutes of soaking, and this was it. And I also soaked up the dried herrings. This is called Boney because I didn't want it to be so hard in the food. I wanted it to be on a little softer end. I use about 2 tablespoons of red oil, aka palm oil. When that heated up a little bit, I just fried my vegetables. The vegetables that I showed you earlier, the onion, the bell peppers, blend that up together with the peppers and just fry it. If for whatever reason you don't have like a high heat tolerance, you don't have to add habanero pepper. I'm going to let this fry for a few minutes. Do not let this burn. I am like a broken record. I'm always constantly telling you guys not to let your bases burn because it does negatively affect your food. So once this heats up and it fries, you're just going to let that fry, and that is it. Everything just comes together like a one pot gravy kind of thing. Now the next thing that I did was add my dried herrings, aka Boney, and then I'm going to add my dried fish. And I'm just going to reduce the heat to medium and let that fry up. Season with salt, pepper, black pepper, any other, those are the basics that you should have in there. And any other seasoning that you like. If you like something, you can add it in there. But don't go too far. Like don't add curry, cumin, because it will change the taste. So just stick with salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika is okay. Some Mrs. Dash. And here it is. I'm just frying it up, and you see how it's not like super oily. This is how I wanted it. Next time, what I would do differently is I would add more blended onions, because when it fried down I did lose a little bit of onion, and I wanted more for like the next day and a few days later. So that's the only reason. Once this fry up, that's it. You could add a little bit more oil if you want to see the oil and like a little more flavor, but it cooked just fine. I closed that up. The oil did end up rising up to the top. And then when I was like midway through, I added the fish into the gravy just for it to get like the flavors, the smokiness and everything. And that was it. If you don't have red oil, or you can't consume red oil, or you don't like red oil, you can use regular vegetable oil or avocado oil. Those will do just fine. For this dish, I suggest not using olive oil because it doesn't have a high smoke temp. I think that's what it is. So here you see me adding the fish into it, and once I added the fish in just a few minutes, and it was done. That was it. Now I'm gonna go to my rice. This is like the Instant Pot one. After like washing my rice, I added it into my rice cooker. For about 1 cup of rice, I did 2 cups of water. When I make dry rice personally, I don't like the rice too soft, so I like it a little bit on the harder side. But if that's not how you like your rice, of course you would add more water. I added smoky, salty fish, and close the pot up, and it did its thing. The reason why I added smoky, salty fish is to get more flavor on it. It allows me to build flavor profile into the food without adding excess salt, Maggi, and all those other things. So here I am just taking the rice out of the rice cooker. I added it into my big bowl, mixed up everything together, and just mix. That is it. So what I did next was I added my okra blend. So the okra, Kitiley, you can add some dry fish. Any kind of way that you like your dry rice mix, you can do that. Added that onto it. I added some dried fish. I added some blended sesame seed. That's called bene seed. And I'm not sure if I added sumbara. Sumara is locust beans, but here are all of my dried ingredients. I just added it just to add a little bit more flavor to the food, and it was absolutely delicious. While making this, I was like, oh my goodness, I should make one with like regular oil. It'll be just as good. And that was it. Mix everything up together, and then once that's done, you're gonna add your oil and it's finished. Dry rice is super simple. It's one of those like less than 30-minute dishes kind of thing. When I made this, I think I had just got off work. I didn't know what I wanted to eat, and I was like, why not dry rice? It comes together really easily. I mean, when it's your first time, you're gonna be a little confused, but after you get the hang of it, it's literally boom, boom, boom. Now I added my red oil on top of my red oil gravy on top of the dry rice, because that is how it's eaten. I mean, the dried fish, the dried herrings, the shrimp, everything came together. At the very last minute, I decided to add shrimp to the gravy. If you can't have shrimp because you're allergic, you can skip it. It'll be just as good. Traditionally, it's not made with shrimp, but I wanted to add shrimp, and being a content creator, you have to make sure that the food looks presentable. So I was just like wiping the side, like shaping the rice to make sure that it looks good. And once that was done, you know, when I'm cooking at the last minute, I was like, oh my God, I should add this. I wanted it a little bit more spicy, so I added pepper dust to it. My mom made this for me. And then I added a little bit of that pepper sauce that I made. This pepper sauce recipe is on my YouTube channel. It pairs amazing with dry rice. Like, dry rice and pepper sauce go together real bad, and they go to bed together like 5 and 6. It's a must. So if you're interested in this pepper sauce recipe, I will link that in the description below. Everything is going to be listed in the description below, and I always welcome questions. If there's something that you don't understand, that you're confused about, don't be shy. It's better you ask and you get an answer than to sit in your confusion. Now use that to everything in life. So this was the final result. I sprinkled, even though it was made in red oil, I'm not sure why I added more red oil. So this was the final result. It was absolutely incredible. One of my favorite ways to eat dry rice. I typically don't eat with gloves, so just pretend you don't see this. And that was, we are now 2 for 2 for dry rice, and we're going to go to our third dry rice. Now this was an Instant Pot dry rice. It's one of those things where I came from work, I was super lazy. It seems like every time I'm in like a lazy mood, it's like, let's make dry rice, because why not? It's super easy. For this dry rice, I literally threw everything in a pot, walked away, and just let it do its thing. So in my Instant Pot, I added the rice. I'm not sure what ratios that I did, because this was made a while ago, but for whatever amount of rice that you're going to use, you know, just 1 to 2 ratio. I added in, I washed it, I went in with my pepper. Of course, I ran it with my smoky salty fish just to give it flavor. I went in with dry herrings, aka Boney, and I used this fish powder just to give it a little razzle. To add a little razzle to it. If you don't have one or the other, that's also okay. And then I added my corned beef. I did about half a can, I believe, but you can use the whole can. Like, how much corned beef you use is not going to negatively affect your dry rice. It's just kind of like, okay, more protein in my food, or less protein in my food, or medium, whatever it is. When I added my corned beef in it, I added the water. I broke it up. I didn't want it too mushy, a little bit on the chunky side, so I just kind of like gently broke it up, mixed it together, turned the Instant Pot on, and let it do its thing. Some people don't like or don't eat canned or processed meats, so you can absolutely skip this. If you don't like it for whatever reason, that is okay. It's still going to be good. It's going to be kind of similar to the red oil dry rice without it, but you'll just make it the same way. So it's just like, cook up your rice, and that is it. I know I'm saying how easy that it is, but it truly is that easy. I close up my lid, let my rice cook. Now I wanted fried fish without having fried fish, so I did about 3 tablespoons of oil into my pan, and I pan fried or pan seared the fish, so it gave me that fried fish vibes without actually deep frying the fish. So here I was just mixing it up together, and I added the fish into the pot and then let it fry. I used the same fish that I use for every single dry rice, so seared fish. So not seared fish, sorry, it was cassava fish. So I let that fry on both ends, and then I flipped it around midway, and then I let that do that. I didn't finish this off in my pot. I finished this off in my air fryer. But if you did want to finish it off, you would just let it fry more, and that's it. And then when you can just check when it's done. And if you don't want to do it that way, if you're not sure if the fish is going to be done on the inside, you can just fry it so it can get that searedness on the outside, and then throw it into your air fryer and let it finish off. That way you're sure, you know, it's like really done, and it's just, that's it. Super, super simple. I want to do this again with another fish to see how it's going to go like, but I'm actually going to finish it off in my pot instead of adding it to my air fryer. When I added it to my air fryer, I'm like, oh my God, this is additional work. This is supposed to be easy. Why did I do this? Well, I feel like I overcomplicated it by adding it to my air fryer, but this was the end. It did what it needed to. So when the rice was done cooking, like typical dry rice, take it out, mix everything together, add anything that you like in terms of dried items, you know, or whatever is available to you. I do know some people live in areas where they're unable to get some of the dry things that they see me using. So if you're unable to get them, just your dry rice would just be plain. It'll just be rice, okra, and that is it. But if you can find blended Benesi, if you can find some of the dried fish that you saw, it'll just elevate the taste of your dry rice. That's all that it's going to do. And if you don't have it, your dry rice is still going to be good. It's just an additional, it's not the main ingredient. I'm adding my mixed okra on top of it. Blended okra, blended Kitiley, pepper, mix that up, and that is done. Now this is where we're 3 for 3 now. We've made dry rice 3 different ways, but you can see across the board that there's some similarity in how the base or the foundation is made, right? It has similar foundation, just 1 or 2 tweaks. And that's the best thing about dry rice. It's super affordable. You can make it any kind of way that you like. You can tweak it. And here was the final result. Sometimes when I want to trick my kids, I'll tell them like their favorite character love this rice, and that's how it's so strong. So in this video, I remember saying like, Sonic loves dry rice, so this is how he gets so fast. And it works. That's the best part about having kids. You can like easily trick them to like eating something that you want them to eat. But they liked it, and I'm adding my pepper sauce to the side. And this was it. I actually really love this dry rice. And now we are going to go for I think this is like my favorite kind of dry rice because I feel so full, so good eating this. So this is Bulgur Wheat Dry Rice. I used 1 cup of broken rice, and I did 2 cups or like this size of brown bulgur wheat. Bulgur wheat is really popular in Liberia. It was eaten a lot during the war. I do know different cultures do eat bulgur wheat as well, but bulgur wheat dry rice is a thing in Liberia. But what I love about bulgur wheat dry rice is that I also get to get like my fiber in to the food that I'm eating that I love. You get high fiber content. It's like eating the things you love with a twist, and don't feel bad about what it is that you're eating. You know, when it comes to African food, people are always saying African food is so unhealthy, it's so unhealthy, but it's like, no, if you can just change the way that it's prepared, you can easily just increase vitamins or nutrients like I'm doing in the dry rice. So when I was done mixing that up together, I just added rice, my 1-to-2 ratio. I let that cook. Like you saw in the other dry rice that I made, pepper, smoky salty fish, salt maybe, and that is it. This is such a nutritious meal. You know, the only thing you'll have to do is just watch the portion sizes that you're eating, but you're getting your fiber from the brown bulgur wheat, and it's like the balance of the white rice as well. And it's kind of like finding an in-between of eating the things that you like without feeling guilty or without letting go your identity. And that's really important to me when I'm creating food, and I do want to find the healthier alternative to my native foods. Like, this is what I do. I just find the middle ground, and this is it. So I let the dry rice cook. So considering I used 2 different rice, what I did was I let it soak for about a few minutes. And then once that was done, I steamed it because I wasn't sure how each one was going to cook. I made sure to steam it, and if it needed more water, I add more water. I had already seasoned fish like a week before, and I put it into the freezer. I do this just to make life easy for me on the days that I do come and I want to make something super lazy, super quick, and be in and out of the kitchen. So I just took that out. I just chopped it up. I think I air fried this, if I wasn't mistaken. Yep, I did end up air frying it, and just walk away. Super, 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 super simple. This Bulgur Wheat Dry rice, it came together in no time like it did with the others, and it was just like super delicious. As I'm looking at this, talking over it, I want to have this again. Maybe I'll make some tonight. But here we've made all 4 dry rice. We made it different ways, and I think I may consider a little challenge on myself. Every Saturday, find a different way to make dry rice. So the rule will be that I can't repeat a recipe that I've already made, just to kind of explore all the different ways that dry rice can be made. I think it's infinite. Now I just have to prove that to myself. So once the rice was done cooking, I just added it into my bowl. I added my okra mix on top. I think I did salt, and I just mix it, and that was it. It's going to follow the same pattern the other dry rice has been following, and then you serve it and then you enjoy it. I love this because when I don't have to eat a lot of rice to feel full, because I'm getting full from the bulgur wheat. I do notice that when I eat more bulgur wheat, it does help me. Of course, sorry to say this, like use the bathroom and things like that, but this is a healthier alternative. Just watch the salt content. You knocked out the carb by adding a healthy, rich carb to it, right? We air fried our fish. You get your protein from there. The next thing you want to be careful for is the salt, the Maggi, the Sazon, the Aja. Be very, very mindful. So I did a little bit of salt, and what I'm doing is adding dried fish, pepper dust. I did a little bit of that. I think I may have done a little bit of sumbara. Sumbara is dried locust beans, and that just enhanced the food without excess seasoning. Added my okra mix on top, mix it, and you have a rich meal. Dry rice is like one of my favorite meals to eat, like my absolute favorite. I think dry rice is better than jollof rice. Like that is a hill that I will die on. I'm willing to argue for. And I think the reason why I love dry rice, or I prefer dry rice over jollof rice, is because it's so versatile. It's so quick to eat. It's one of those one pot dishes. You don't need a lot of resources, money to be able to do it. You can have $5, go to the store and make dry rice. That's how cheap it is. If you can afford chicken, beef, shrimp, you can easily use canned sardine. And if you don't have sardine, you can skip it. Make the rice just like that. Add your oil, and that's it. And I think the reason, I don't know why dry rice is called dry rice. I think it's because it's rice without soup, so it's dry rice. But I think the name should change to juicy rice because of how delicious and juicy it is. I know that was so corny. So now I'm just assembling the food. Anything I'm making something for content, it takes so much longer, and I have to be a little bit more intentional in presenting it well. Even though it tastes yummy in real life, people have to be able to immediately want and eat it with their eyes. So I was just assembling the fish. I added the pepper sauce on top, added the red oil, I added some canned sardines, and everything came together. It was absolutely delicious. I know this is a long video, but I've showed you 4 different ways that you can make dry rice, and I hope you enjoyed every single one of them. I hope you try them. I hope you try the different ways to make dry rice. And if you do make this recipe, I really love when you would send me a picture. You can send me a picture on either TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, same username. So everything will be listed in the description below. If you have any questions, please comment, subscribe. That helps push my video out. That lets YouTube know, hey, YouTube, people are watching her videos. So as always, everything will be listed into the description. Until our next recipe, I want to thank everyone who has subscribed, who is watching my videos, liking, commenting. I really appreciate it, considering this is a small YouTube channel, but one day it's going to be a really big YouTube channel, all because of you. Stay tuned for our next recipes and let me know if you try it. Until next time.